I'm live. It's Veda. Day 15. We're halfway there. And the question that has been posed on the website today for Veda is, what have you learned about blogging in these 15 days? And I have to admit that trying to come up with something to talk about every day is quite a challenge because, honestly, as I mentioned before, and I've mentioned in the past and previously and so on and so forth, that, I don't have a very, shall we say, interesting life. I pretty much live a life of solitude, and quite honestly, outside of you guys on the internet, I really don't have anybody to socialize with. It's not that I can go and say, hey, I did this over the weekend, we had fun, we did this, we went and we drank beers, and we watched some music and all that good stuff. It just doesn't go that way for me. But anyways, so we're halfway down, and I got halfway to go. I got a good night's sleep last night again, so it is so nice to wake up and not have the neck be stiff as a board. I'll hop up here. I'll come hop on the old computer here for a second and fire this thing up here. I actually built this computer myself, and I have the build of it on my channel. It's a lovely little i3 with Windows 10 on it. So my eclipse plans for going to see the actual eclipse in Missouri, I don't know if they're going to be happening now, but see, what wound up happening was that we were hoping to tag along with the university, and I got an email today that said that now what's going on is that there is a thing. Well, the thing that they had planned, it's actually more like people going on vacation as opposed to any official functions. So essentially what's happening now is that we have to find new plans to try and get down to Missouri, and more or less what's gonna happen, or at least what I think is gonna happen, is that we're just gonna be stuck here in Cedar Rapids doing nothing but partial total eclipse coverage, which is supposed to be something like 80%, and actually I think we're supposed to be 92%. It's still going to be a good show. Hi April, you joined in. See, now this is weird because I just got your message, but it says you haven't joined in. So pick my brain, April. Pick my brain. We got a half an hour or so. I'm gonna come back here into the bedroom, and it notified you. Yay. Okay, there you are. You popped up finally. Now says you were watching me, so how was your little mini vacation thing that you were going on? Did that go well? Was that relatively stress-free for you? Yes, I've been talking about the eclipse, because I've been hoping to go see that eclipse, and the darn thing, it just seems like the plans are going to fall through on it. So if I don't get down to Missouri, I only have to wait till 2024. But yeah, I'm glad your weekend. I'm glad your weekend was okay. How's everything else going in your life right now? I'm assuming it's okay. Oh, were you guys in a motel, or were you guys staying? Or were you guys camping like in a lodge or something like that? I'll just wait. I have nothing to say. I just wanted to do this quickly, and it's like, we'll see if you show up, so. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, it's halfway through Veda, and the question of the day for me. The question was do you what have you learned about vlogging? And it says I'm sending too many messages. I don't think I have you. I don't have restrictions on sending, so maybe if you just type one really long message, that'll help. But essentially, as I was saying earlier, it's really hard to come up with things to talk about because, you know, unlike you, April, I don't have. Oh boy, YouTube problems. Yeah, my phone has been acting wonky lately. It says a lot of times that the SIM card is not installed, and then I lose all phone connectivity, and I have to reboot the phone to get it to go. And the YouTube app on my phone was being kind of screwy earlier in that it wasn't loading. And of course, I got to do this on Wi-Fi so that I'm not burning up data, and I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. But the notifications seem to be working now because I punched a button. I had to punch everybody's button so that the bell was ringing. And now my phone finally goes ding when something comes in, but then it gets kind of annoying because I get like a ding every hour. So, what are you going to do? But I'll try that. I can't keep writing and homeschooling. Yeah, schedules are nice, but being a mom, I think that's kind of hard for you to do, stay on a schedule, because it hits the fan, like the famous bumper sticker from Forrest Gump. It happens. But anyways, it's supposed to be really hot again here today. It's supposed to be like 90. But hey, the pillow is working like a charm, April. I got 2 good nights sleep now, so I think I've got my I think I got my my neck problem solved, because I was waking up with a really stiff neck and just feeling like a turd during the day. And I crashed about 1:30 this morning. Didn't run out of spoons, but was like really tired. You kind of get what I'm talking about there with the like where you're not out of spoons, but you're still like really tired. That was kind of me yesterday, where I just was like, just wanted to do that, but I wasn't like burned out. I don't know if you saw my live from yesterday, but I was like 2 hours northwest of here doing some stuff politically related, and I had to drive 2 hours and drive 2 hours back, and it's one of those long but easy days for me. And I'm gonna grab a water here. And so essentially I wound up getting out of work at 9:30 and then tried to stay up to my normal 3 o'clock bedtime and just couldn't do it. So hopped in the shower around 1 o'clock, hit the bed around 2, and I was out like a light. And garbage man came today, and that woke me up for like 5 minutes, fell back asleep. And it is so quiet in here. And once I figure out, or at least now that I think I've got this sleeping thing figured out, I'm actually able to get a decent amount of sleep. And water is good. I'm bad about drinking water or fluids. Do you get a headache, April, when you get dehydrated? Because I think that's one of the things that I have to deal with is headache. Yes, indeed. Sleep means less stress. I think you certainly can be I think you can certainly be a primer for a lot of people on what stress is like. Having your 2 boys and having to deal with them. Yeah, but yeah, headaches. Getting back on the topic of headaches. I have chronic headaches and migraines. I've had them since I was 10 years old. And I think that, yeah. And I think that part of it is just because I get dehydrated, and I really don't. See, now you're watching me, April. You're watching me, but it says that nobody's watching the stream, so I'm, doing that because it makes no sense. You're live with me, you're communicating with me, but my thing says nobody's watching. Don't you love technology? Yeah. What's going on here, YouTube? Hello? McFly. So yeah, I don't know if you've caught this in my previous videos, but let me come to the window here, April. The house next to me got sold, so I got neighbors. And I think what I'm going to do here, if I get the energy this weekend, I might go to like Furniture Mart or something like that. And I might actually get myself like a couch or a lazy boy, and I can actually clean this up. But I've been slacking around the house lately. I just took like 2 weeks to myself and wanted to have nothing to do with the world, so I kind of let the grass go. I'm going to pay for that when I try and mow because it grows so freaking fast and everything. And the shopping stress you. Well, if you count being sensory overload in stores, yeah, that definitely does. That definitely does stress me out because, like I've like I've said before, I sit down or I don't sit down. My mind is wandering all over the place today. I let the house go too because I have been overwhelmed. Yes. But yeah, essentially what winds up happening when I walk into a store is all the sights and the sounds. It just, after 30 seconds, I just want to get out of there as fast as possible, and so I find myself rushing through shopping and whatnot, and then I just don't have the focus or the energy to focus on what it is that I need to accomplish. So I'm thinking maybe, well, and then the other thing too that's coming up is I'm going to have to deal with a schedule change because they're not thinking too well at work about staffing, and so I'm probably going to have to go on something other than Sunday through Thursday because there's stuff going on Fridays that needs my attention, and they just they don't have me scheduled Friday. So they said, we're going to change your schedule, and I said, okay, I can deal with that. Just let me know what it's going to be. And yes, we definitely do need to do a collab. We definitely do need to do a collab. I've actually kind of pondered, doing collabs with people, just, maybe to get myself a little more out there. And, well, I must say that you were the first person, April, that it would be a good chat, yes. It definitely would be a good chat, but I think you've been, like, the first person that's really kind of responded to me. I mean, the one thing that I've discovered throughout this whole thing is that, talking with Aspies online can be very hard because we all tend to be very reclusive people, but here you are, you're this nice extroverted Aspie, and I sent you a nice message on your vlog video, and you gave me a nice reply back, and let me pull up your channel here. I just popped up YouTube on my computer, and it says that I'm live. It says I should watch. Yeah, let me scroll down your channel here. It was your Call for Vloggers video, and it's somewhere around here. I'm looking for it. Ah, here we go. But yeah, you put out, you made this nice video, and it showed up in my my recommends, and if I can find where I wrote, here it is. But yeah, I gave you this nice reply, and then you gave me a nice reply back, and I replied again, and you replied again, and I was like, huh, here's someone that I can actually have a conversation with. So you kind of got the ball rolling on that one, April. And I think you got nothing but yourself to blame for that one. No offense to that, but yeah, if you got videos on the computer somewhere, I definitely would say do it, because it would be interesting to see, especially your Gabe, how he was. Because yeah, I got Let me pull up on my computer here. Again, I have to go through the hunt to find it. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm having a hard time reading. Thanks. Happy to have you as a friend. I'm happy to have you as a friend too. So where, oh where, oh where? That's like June. I wonder if this was it. No, that's not it. When auto update. Oh. I have a bunch of videos of that I've done for YouTube that I've never posted, and I just haven't had or felt the need to post them. They just didn't, like, I would make a video and then it just didn't come across as being right. So I was like, I didn't post it, but I'm trying to find this one video here. Actually, I want to use media player here. Like, I think you've seen this video of me kind of prancing around as an 8-year-old. There was another video that I did. It's on my channel. Yes, you have. I think you commented on it too. So I think it just might be the thing to go around here and... No. What is this one here? No, that's another one. This one. I don't know if you've seen this video, but this is me when I was like 5 years old. My dad's golfing buddy. Yeah, it's on my channel. Yeah, you get to hear me as like a 5-year-old. This is me screwing around with the golf balls because my dad was a golfer, and my dad's golfing buddy had a camcorder. He bought a camcorder so that he could analyze himself and improve his form, and we were over there one day, and I actually remember this day very well because he was like, "You're going to be on live TV," and I was like, well, where are all the fans? Where's the audience? You know, because I thought, you know, I was going to actually be like on NBC or ABC's Wide World of Sports. Wink. Let me try and give you some audio here. You were good at golf. Might be something you want to pick back up. Use it as a way to decompress.
Not bad, Scotty. Pretty good shot. Hey, look at that. Hey, Captain. How's that? Thought I'd give you a wipe before you. Oh. You're right on the ball.
See, I was smart enough not to fall for that. Keep your eye on the ball thing.
You got a different form there, Jake. You need just a little work.
Was my dad pretty supportive? Oh, I'm gonna talk here. I'll answer your question.
Say hi, Mom.
There's that sing-song voice.
Say hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. I got a little blurry.
Yeah, I definitely did have a different form when it came to walking.
You almost have to refocus it. That's if you have the camera on your side. Say where, Mom? Where'd all those balls come? Scotty, want to wave to me? Just stay there. Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Say hi, Dad. No, it's my tape. It's empty.
Don't see me.
It's on record right now. I don't know my brain.
Yeah. Oh, see.
Get up, Daddy.
The cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're sleeping. They usually sleep right around this time. Oh, if they're tired.
What time do they wake up?
Oh, probably about a half an hour. Right about the time I left them.
Daddy, you want to hit one? Here, I got a jelly belly.
No.
Yeah, I just want them.
Yeah, that was me when I was 5 years old, and well, there's Mom and Dad right now, and forever eternally watching over me. But to kind of answer your question earlier, April, about my parents, well, you know, I had a very, very, very strained relationship with my parents. And yeah, find Gabe at 5. I would love to see videos of him at 5. But as I was saying, I had a very, very strained relationship with my parents because it was just a thing where they couldn't figure me out and I couldn't figure them out. And I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, I can forgive them for, you know, all that happened as I was a kid because they just didn't know and they couldn't know because we didn't have the knowledge. But yeah, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress from my parents because they just couldn't figure me out. And my mom, to her credit, you know, she was ever the wise one when it came to dealing with me, and she actually used to journal and come up with she'd go to the store and get a notebook, and she would actually journal, you know, my personality to try and figure out what made me click. And using those journals, she kind of more or less came up with a user guide for me for anybody who was going to be dealing with me. And one of the things that she did every year before school started was that she would go and find out who my teacher was, and she would meet with that teacher and say, okay, you're going to have my son as a student. This is who he is, and this is how you have to deal with him. And if you don't, you're going to have hell to pay, more or less. And the summer 30 years ago, summer of 87, my mom thought that I had grown up enough to be, yeah, she was trying. See, another story, too, about my mom is that I was not my mom's first kid. My mom, right out of high school, got pregnant with her boyfriend at the time, and I have a half-brother that I've never met. And being that it was the mid-60s, they ended up getting married, and it wasn't a good marriage, and they ended up getting divorced, and they had to give the kid up for adoption. But the kid's name was David, and he was born 13 years before I was. And so my mom had experience, and she, well, on top of that, my mom had she had 5 younger siblings, so she knew a lot about how kids were, and she just knew right away from the moment that I was born that I was not like the other kids. And so she really, really worked to see to it that my life was as stress-free as possible, because one of the things that she observed about me was the fact that as long as I felt, or I was in a situation where I felt that I was at least in control, that I could handle new things and other stuff. And so a lot of what she did was kind of centered around that. But let me pull up the photo albums here. I have all my pictures scanned. But as I was saying before, so yeah, there I am, right before first grade got out. This would have been like May of '87. And what wound up happening was that my parents enrolled me into a daycare program at the local YMCA. Let me punch it in here, because it really was the worst summer of my life. No. Well, there's the Google well, there's the top view of it, but my parents enrolled me into a daycare program at this lovely place here, the local YMCA. And my mom figured that I had grown enough, because first grade was a relatively good year for me, and so she figured that I could handle it on my own, and boy was she wrong. And I was with older kids, and the way that they ran that program was completely different than anything they had done before. I had been a part of before, and the end result was really, basically, daily meltdowns at this place. Oh, Cranky's lab too. Yeah, I missed your comment, Cranky. I've been busy kind of showing stuff here, but well, you'll watch it later. But yeah, so basically, getting back to said story, my parents enrolled me in this lovely daycare program, and it was a completely different thing than anything that I experienced before, and I quickly devolved and regressed, and I was having daily meltdowns, and I was actually getting upset to the point that I was slamming my head on the wall and the floors during my meltdowns, and it ended up getting my parents investigated by what was called social services, which is basically, today it's CPS. And so my parents unenrolled me from that daycare program pretty quickly. I was only there. I have a calendar. Unfortunately, the calendar, I have away in another tote, so yeah, I'm not going to be able to pull it out and show you. But basically, I was in that program for like 6 weeks, and to me, it seemed like a lot longer. And like just to give you an idea of how much I regressed. I remember we went up north to Rivers, for an activity. We went like mini bowling at this place, and I remember that I had gotten a low score, and someone else had gotten a higher score than me, and it upset me to the point that I had a meltdown right there in the van. And actually, since you brought up, I remember my score sheet. I remember ripping up my score sheet in the van and just screaming and crying, and not to draw attention to your Gabe, April, but even your Gabe, he gets kind of upset in the way that I got upset when I was his age. And your video of him at CVB's Pizza was like, yeah, that was me. Although to point out one difference though, like I wouldn't have gotten upset at what Gabe got upset at, which I think was him not getting the thing that he wanted out of the machine. Like for something like that, if I knew that there was like a random, that there was like a random chance of getting something, I wouldn't have been so bummed had I not gotten something that I like. But like what would have set me off would have been like the claw machine. Like if I couldn't get something in the claw machine because the way the timers work, I tried the claw machine once. I watched my dad do it, and the thing was supposed to give you like 20 seconds, and it pulled back up after like 5. Now something like that would have set me off, but not so much what set Gabe off at the pizza place. But his reactions after he got upset, that was so me. That was so me, and doesn't like the claw machine. Nope. But let me think here. So yeah, after YMCA, that kind of found its way into the into life in second grade. And well, second grade, I've vlogged about second grade, about how bad of a year that was, because I didn't have a compatible teacher. And April, I'm a very, very, very lucky person, because thinking back, to that time period, second, third grade, there were a couple of things that, had they gone different ways, I definitely probably wouldn't be here talking to you today. Because the first one would have been them sticking me into Riverview School, and I can actually pull that up on the phone here. See, today it's where they send everybody for kindergarten. There we go. Okay, why is this thing not doing here? But yeah, Riverview School. Well, back in the 80s, just kind of fill you in a little bit here. Riverview School, back in the day before they had ADA and IDEA. Riverview School was the school in the county where they sent all the kids who were quote-unquote problems. So like if you had issues fitting in with regular classes, they would give you an evaluation to figure out what your special needs were, and they would send you there. And I got one of those evaluations after the end of second grade, and they wanted to send me to that school. And yes, I did tell you about that, but one story that I didn't mention was that before my parents signed off on the papers to send me to the school, they actually wanted a tour of the school to see what it was like for themselves, and so they went. And what wound up happening was that they saw the inside of the school, and they said that the inside of the school was basically nothing more than a circus. And that there were kids running around screaming, unsupervised, crying. You know, I mean, it was just a mess. And my parents decided that no way in hell were they going to subject me to that. They figured that I was better than that. And, you know, this is where a little bit of ignorance comes in too, because my parents thought that I was perfectly normal. They thought that I just needed some TLC. They didn't think that there was really anything wrong with me, so they didn't send me. They refused to send me to that school, and they made the school district deal with me. And to their credit, they were a lot more willing to deal with me than apparently April, your school district was with your boys. So when I got to third grade, I had Mrs. Nichols, and actually to kind of give you period context on that, I just happen to have a thing here. Here I am. This is my third grade picture. But I had Mrs. Nichols as a teacher, and her and I got along quite well. And it was when I was in third grade that actually the peer group that I was with more or less decided when I was in third grade that, hey, there's really nothing too bad with this guy. We can live with him. And I kind of got... yeah. But basically my peer group more or less decided when I was in third grade that, hey, Scott's not that bad. We can live with him. And so they let me into their group, and it was for the first time when I was in third grade that I actually started to learn how to socialize with kids. And I had about a 4-year stretch, or actually about a 3-year stretch from 3rd to 6th grade, where I had a pretty I wouldn't say an easy run, but I had, shall we say, therapy in the form of socializing with other kids, and that really helped me out a lot. And so now, in 3rd grade, if I had been stuck with the other teacher, Mrs. Mossholder, yeah, that was her name, Mossholder, what a name, her and I would not have gotten along at all. I mean, she was one of those crotchety, crankety old teachers, and it wouldn't surprise me, like, if your Lucian had a teacher like that, when you pulled him, if his teacher was like that. Because, you know, again, not to point out your kids' lower points in their lives, but you did have one video on your channel where you had Lucian kind of upset in the backseat of your car talking about how the teachers were mean, and when he was going through that, I instantly thought back to this lady, Miss Mossholder. But her and I would not have gotten along, and basically 2nd grade would have repeated itself all over again. And the peer group that was in her class, they definitely would not have welcomed me in, so I think that a lot of where I am today has to do with luck. A lot of it has to do with luck, and as I've said before, you know, I'll definitely take it, but yeah, a lot of memories I gotta still sift through here. My phone is yelling that it's low on battery, so I'm going to plug it in here. Pardon my hand. There we go. And so yeah, I'm going to scroll up here and see if I missed anything from you here, or anybody else. See, now when I got to junior high school, I had some really shitty teachers. I had a teacher, social studies teacher. This guy was a creep. The boys just can't do a large classroom. Is it just too overstimulating? You hated middle school. I hated middle school too. I was happy. Happiest day of my life was when school got done. 22 kids. See, now I had 30 in a class. And it wasn't so much that I couldn't handle a large class. I could handle a large class. It was just that But it was just, I'm trying to find the words to describe it here. I could certainly do a large class. It was just that there needed to be structure. Let's just say that. There needed to be some structure. So like things like testing and stuff like that, I never had problems with testing or anything like that. Or I remember doing standardized testing when I was in like kindergarten, 3rd, 5th grade. Never had any issues with that. But there definitely needed to be structure in the classroom if I was gonna be able to do well in it. And teachers who seem to do... You always failed standard testing, yeah. Yeah, I never had a problem with testing. And I'm thinking here... And in some ways, you know, I actually kind of look forward to testing because I think... Yeah, they certainly are. That was a topic I was going to suggest that we do here, since you brought up the idea of doing a collab, which I definitely do want to do. Would be like just have a have like a list of topics and be like, what's the difference between boys and girls? You know, what's the difference between men and women as adults? Because that's definitely something that I don't think has been touched upon too much on the internet. But yeah, for me at least, trying to think here. I've mentioned this many times before, but, you know, this is where I struggle, is trying to put my thoughts into words, because, you know, visual thinker up here, you know, everything that I want to talk about appears here as images, and I have to sort through those images, and then I have to try and translate those images into words that will actually come out my mouth and make sense to people, but... And so, yeah, it definitely is a challenge. Because I can't find the words, and, you know, it's like, you know, sift through, you know, a dictionary, you know, trying to find the right adjective, or trying to, you know, find verbs or nouns to describe things. It's like, ugh. So here's a question for you, April. When you were like a kid and you were like in a social group, did it always seem like you were like 2 steps behind people? Because what would happen with me was that, like, you know, the people who I would hang out with, you know, they would have their little group conversation. I would just kind of be hanging around on the periphery. And I was always like 2 steps behind in their conversation, trying to follow what was going on, because they would just kind of, you know, hop from one place to another, and, you know, things that really didn't make sense, and I would have to try and play catch up all the time. And actually, when I was at university at Oshkosh, and I was dealing with counseling because it was just something that I felt that I needed to do, my counselor said that, you know, she was kind of confounded by that too, you know, the way that neurotypical people, they just kind of bounce around in conversations, and, you know, that's all over the place and doesn't seem to make any rhyme or reason. And she actually thought that people who were on the spectrum had superior conversing skills because they could follow a form with their conversation. How about that? So yeah, thumbs up for us. But anyways, now I just lost what I was going to think about here. My train of thought has been derailed, and I'm trying to re-rail it. The train never got jokes, always seemed weird. I'm going to reread that because that stays up for 5 seconds and then it disappears. Never got jokes, always seemed weird because I thought stuff was cool, they didn't. Oh yeah. And they were into things I wasn't mature enough to consider. Different shows, into boys. Different shows. I have my DVD binder down here. Let's see here. I'm off screen. Pardon me for 2 seconds here. Because I have VHS things. I have VHS tapes that I put into, that I converted into DVDs a couple of years ago here. And where? Because I think you'll enjoy, okay, you popped up something here. Unless you relate to shows I like. Yes, I definitely. A lot of my vernacular comes from TV shows. Like, I like The Simpsons a lot. I'll throw Simpsons lines into conversations. You know, it's a cheap way to get laughs. But, so basically, here we go, April. My favorite cartoon show as a kid growing up, Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Love that show. I have a bunch of episodes of... Yes! I have a bunch of episodes of Super Sloppy Double Dare that I recorded off Nickelodeon Games and Sports. And then Home Improvement. So you like CD, so you like Rescue Rangers? Who was your favorite character? My favorite was Dale. I love Dale. And Dale and... I'll just let you respond. You love Zipper. Yeah, good old Zipper. Zzz. Zipper money. Zipper certainly had a way of inserting himself into a scene when he needed to. Now if this DVD will load. So yeah, someone posted all of the episodes on YouTube. Gadget! Although you spelled it Gidget, yeah. I think that was a computer fault though. Didn't you love the theme song? I think that was the best theme song ever. Yes, definitely let them watch it. Getting up the slack. There's no case too big, no case too small. When you need help, just call Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Chip and Dale's when there's danger. Oh, it never fails once they're involved. Somehow, whatever song involves. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Chip and Dale's when there's danger. Don't know it never fails. Take the clues and find the where's and why's and who's. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Chip and Dale's when there's danger. Chip and Dale. Oh yeah. I had a must-watch date with that show every day at 4 p.m. The Disney Afternoon. Were you old enough to remember the Disney Afternoon, April? That was definitely one of the. That was definitely something that I have very strong memories of coming home. And you were born in 1983, so you would have been seven when that show came on. See, I was 10. But I remember racing my bike home to catch like the last hour of Disney Afternoon because they had at 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. was Rescue Rangers, so I had to be home. And then at 4:30 it was Tailspin. But then when summer vacation came around, I could watch the whole thing. But anyways, do you have any last thoughts, April? Because right now it's 10 after 1 and I got to get my Tailspin, yeah. But yeah, it's good old Disney cartoons. But yeah, it's 10 after 1, so I have to get myself ready for work because I need to be there at 1:30ish. See, that's one thing that I like about my job is that I don't necessarily have to be in the door at 1:30 exactly. It's not like I'm going to get in trouble if I'm in at 1:31. I can be in at like 1:35, 1:40, 1:45. As long as I'm in before 2 o'clock, no one's going to give a you-know-what. But I'm going to say goodbye, April, and it was nice catching you, and we'll do this again sometime, maybe this weekend. So we'll talk to you later.